if you do have a topic that you want to discuss with us, we might be a little bit more flexible with our times. It might have to be at a weekend or something like that. And you may as well make use of the fact that we are stuck in lockdown at the moment, because we will be a bit more flexible with our times because we can't do anything else. Not that we would, anyway.
I'm in Wales. We aren't in lockdown.
Shush. You will be soon.
Yeah, they're thinking of doing one over Christmas, I think.
Oh, really? They're actually going to be locked out during Christmas?
It's yes and no.
Okay.
Yeah, you'll be able to go visit family members on Christmas Day, Boxing Day, that kind of thing, but it'll mostly be a partial lockdown, so essential shops, that kind of thing.
Yeah, I'm a couple of days behind, but the last thing I checked over here was you were going to be allowed to do like the Christmas and Boxing Day, but then from the 1st of January, it's just going to be a hardcore lockdown for another month. But it's supposed to be a proper lockdown for January rather than this lockdown that we're in that is absolutely pathetic and not really having much of effect on anything.
I
it's
don't
it's
expect
a lockdown, but all the schools are open and like most of the shops are still open.
you can go to the pub till 10, you know.
Yeah. So,
Yeah,
so
don't expect Boris to do anything particularly effective ever, except tackle little kids during rugby.
Dearie me. I am so desperate for this whole pandemic to be over. It's
Well,
um
there's 3 vaccines coming, Pfizer, the Oxford vaccine, and I can't remember who the other one was now.
yeah. No, I
But they
was
all seem to be hovering around 96 to 97%
I
effectiveness.
thought the Oxford one was supposed to only be 70% effective. The other two were about the 90%.
Ah, okay, I think I'm misremembering then.
Um, but I think that might have been the single dose effectiveness, and I don't know if the Oxford vaccine had done the 2 dose trial yet, whereas the others had done, and they'd actually said if you have a half dose for your first one and then X time later you have a full dose, you end up with 90% effectiveness. The only problem there as well, though, is you've got all the anti-vaxxers who are not going to take it, but you've also got people who are not necessarily anti-vaxxers but are nervous about how fast this has been pushed through. And whilst there are plenty of logical arguments that this has been a worldwide pandemic, we're a lot better at virology and things like that, and there's been a lot more funding, and there have been a lot of the things that slow it down have been removed so that they can get on and do these mass tests. People are still like, well, no, usually there's an entire year of human testing first. It's like, yes, but the reason for that is no, a year has to be a year. I'm not taking it until it's been tested for a year. So there's a lot of fear about what could happen, and I understand the fear of the long-term effects as well. I mean, there could be something unknown. So again, it's the fear of the unknown. I do understand people's position on this, and I'm not going to lie. There's even a certain amount of nervousness that I think with it, because it does seem quick, but that is because I know I'm tied into my bias of how I know the process works, and the process is different. So it's like, oh, it's new.
Yeah, sometimes there's good practical reasons to sort of skip out on long-term testing. I mean, if we don't go with it, we'll be in lockdown longer, more people will die.
And the
I mean,
economy
most
as well. On top of that, I mean,
exactly.
I mean, I care more about the life, but if the economy it tanks too much, that will end up having an effect on the life as well. So there is that balancing act. I do think life is more important than the economy, but without the economy, life is fucked.
Exactly. I mean, the amusing kind of thing is all these people going, "Oh, I'm not sure about the long-term effects," and they're all like, "Yeah, we need to get the economy going again. Everybody should just mingle. If you die, you die." Well, what about when it comes time for you to take your vaccine?
Oh well, we might die or might have a long term effect. Okay, so the chances of dying from something
It's all
like
right when it's somebody else dying.
Yeah, and I think that's one of the things I dislike about most people's attitudes towards COVID. Oh well, it's only generally only old people that die. Why don't they deserve to live? They've lived their entire life. They've worked their entire life. Most of them have worked really, really hard, and they've given all their money. They've paid their taxes, and they're now at a point where they want to sit back and relax. And you go, well, they don't matter because they're old. It's just not
Yeah,
fair.
and it's awful.
I can't understand how some people have this attitude towards it. And when it comes to taking it, yes, I will admit I am slightly nervous about taking the vaccine because it has been pushed through quickly, but I will be taking it. I
Yeah,
think that is the best. And do you know what? I may have a reaction. In fact, pretty much every vaccine gives you a minor reaction. You get a little bump on your skin. You might feel a little bit ill for a couple of days. Do you know what? It can happen. But you know what? It's better than either getting COVID and having the complications or being someone that is asymptomatic and gives it to people who then you cause a lot of death, because that's your responsibility. If you catch this thing, even if you're unaware of it because you've been, yeah, it won't hurt me, and you know what, it didn't hurt you, but you've then gone on to hurt other people, have you really fulfilled your moral obligation to other people? Is that really the way you want to look at the world? As long as I'm all right, fuck everyone else. It's not right, is it?
exactly. Exactly. And here's the other thing. If you've ever done coke or pills or acid or anything like that, you have no reason to complain about getting a vaccine.
Oh yeah. How many dodgy things have people taken? That's one of the things when I see people who are anti-vaxxers, because you don't really know what's in that, mate. And you're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
really? What did we do at the last festival we were at together? Did you test every single one of them to make sure it was absolutely pure so you knew what was going into it? Oh, you didn't? Right.
Yeah,
That's a substance that's known not to be safe rather than a substance that is supposed to do what it can to protect you. But you'd rather take a substance that is not necessarily safe and you don't know what's in it just because, well, I'll probably be all right.
yeah,
So
that's it. It's insane.
it's
Um, Speaking of this stuff, though, you've just reminded me. You know what TikTok is, don't you?
I do know what TikTok is. The missus actually sometimes plays some videos off of it. Once in a while, they make me laugh, but in general, I'm just like, oh, it's midget YouTube. Not that
Yeah, it's
there's
awful.
midgets on it. It's just really short videos
It'd
of
be
people singing along to songs and stuff, and it's like, right, okay.
it'd be better if it had midgets on it. Um, there's an awful trend on there at the moment. I've seen several videos coming off it, and it's Christians in America making videos about fighting against the vaccine because it's going to be the mark of the devil. And there's such a victim complex in it, like, no, I won't take your vaccine. And then they talk about themselves being tortured so that they can be given the mark of the beast, and how if they don't refuse it, they'll be killed. And they're like, I'm willing to take that. I put my faith in Jesus.
It's
Yeah.
ridiculous. I've actually seen a similar one, except it said, the mark of the devil? It's actually a misspelling. It's the mask of the devil. I ain't wearing that mask. It's like,
Oh
oh
my
my
God.
God.
Yeah.
The thing is, right? I mean, regardless of what my theological position is, if you are a theist that believes in this creator God that is in some way benevolent, that may allow evil for whatever reason, let's not go into that. But what they have done is created us in such a way that we have these minds, and some of our people have used these minds to become scientists, become virologists, study is it epidemiology? I sorry if that's the wrong term. I'm not one of those minds. But there you go. I mean, your God has given you the tools to get over this virus. It's not Jesus gonna save you. He's gone, man. He's gone. He's up in them clouds. He's not gonna come down and heal you. He's done his time, right? Do you know what you do have? You've got your scientists, you've got peer review, you've got everything that goes into making these vaccines. Yes, they're not perfect because we're human, you're human, but it's the best thing that we have right now. So use it.
Exactly. I mean, I could come up with another argument as well. There's a popular apologetic when atheists bring up ideas like, well, why doesn't God cure cancer? Why doesn't God cure this? And there's a popular apologetic that goes something along the lines of God doesn't do it himself. He works through humans. He works through the doctors. He gives doctors the intelligence to be able to figure these things out. Well, why does that stop with vaccines?
Yeah, it's amazing the amount of bias that you find around these topics. Yeah, and you see some of them going, "Well, Jesus didn't take vaccines." Like, okay, but maybe he would have if he was around this time. You
Exactly.
know, you're talking about something that happened 2,000 years ago. There
How do
weren't
you know?
vaccines then.
Well, how do you know he didn't create a vaccine to cure the blind guy?
Indeed, I mean that is true. I've often thought that some of the stories of his medical miracles have actually been things like a healing the blind guy was probably more like a guy with a pussy eye and he couldn't see out of this eye, and he created a poultice which had some form of antibiotic qualities, and he used it on there, and after it, even just one wipe, he was like, oh my god, I can start to see, and he put it on, and that got turned into, oh yeah, he laid his hands on him and he could see. But there are rational explanations to these stories. So either way, even if you do think what he did was a miracle, he's not here now.
Yeah.
So the best thing you've got is to put your trust in these doctors. And we know that science isn't perfect. We do have certain problems where if money does get involved, you've got the whole thing with Andrew Wakefield, and that which gave rise to most of the anti-vaxxer conspiracies, because he was paid off by lawyers to show a link between the MMR and autism, and because of that, you've got all these people who, even though it's been debunked, keep going on and on and on about it. So it's not perfect, but when you have people from around the world all looking at this thing and testing and agreeing that this is the best method, and they're professionals in the field, it's not an ad populum fallacy, right? These are professionals who know what they are talking about. Get the bloody vaccine.
Yeah.
I got awfully preachy there. I do apologize.
It's all right. Understandable.
Yeah, so what was talking about P zombies and Zimbos turned into me having a rant about vaccines and COVID.
We take conversations as they flow.
Yeah. So anyway, we've discussed our p-Zombieland, our philosophical zombies and Zimbos, and we've been covering off. Oh, hang on. Opie saying there's some fun game theory about vaccines.
I'll look into that.
Yeah, we might bring that up. I mean, to be honest, it's been a while since we've done a pandemic episode. Um, if everyone takes it but you still get the benefit but no side effects. I mean, that's true, but you'd have to get everyone to take it. There's got to be a certain level, and I think that you need, from what I was looking into and the R rates and everything like that, I think you need about 90% coverage with the vaccine. I mean, that could even be an argument not to get it, and I'm not saying people shouldn't, but if only 50% of the country are going to take it, how effective is it going to be? The other side to that, though, is there's been more studies. So one of the things that we saw early on in COVID were people getting reinfected, which showed that the antibodies weren't lasting that long. It turns out that this might actually be just a few cases which, for some reason, their body was flushing out the antibodies, whereas most people who did get the antibodies actually maintained them within their system for a longer time. So it would make sense to get the vaccine from that perspective as well, because that was one of the objections to it. Well, if your body doesn't maintain the antibodies, then why should you take them? The vaccine's not going to work. Flip side to that is if everybody in the country took them at once and it lasted a month, then it would be gone by the end of the month anyway. But oh, hey, you know what? Good bit there. You know, we're the sci-fi show. We finally did a little bit of science.
Yeah.
We should probably do a philosophy of science.
That would be interesting. Again, it's not my super strongest thing, but I do know a bit.
Well,
I could always do some research anyway.
I'd very much appreciate if you did. I reckon OP would be pretty good having that discussion as well.
He'd be perfect.